Every morning, Lena Rivers, a 5-year-old girl with tangled hair and a patched-up dress, watched the world through the black iron fence of Evergreen Hill School. Inside that fence? A different universe. Kids ran across green fields, their laughter bouncing off brick walls. Teachers pointed at whiteboards while little hands raised with questions. Some kids groaned about homework, others traded snacks like currency. Lena didn't groan. She listened. She memorized. She had no home. No parents. Only a worn-out backpack filled with broken pencils, crumpled pages, and dreams too big for alleys. She slept near dumpsters. Ate from half-opened lunch trays. Learned by sound, by watching. When kids recited poems or solved math on the board, Lena mouthed the answers along, quietly, perfectly. Most people didn't see her. The few who did looked away. But Lena had sharp eyes. Eyes that saw everything. One chilly morning, while blowing into her red hands to keep them warm, she noticed something. A flowering bush, just past the bike racks, swayed oddly. Behind it, something new. A gap in the fence. It was small. Easy to miss. But Lena didn't miss much. She stood. Walked toward it. Listened. No footsteps. Just her breath. Then, she slipped through. On the other side? Green grass underfoot. A warm breeze. Bark chips from the playground sticking to her socks. But what stopped her wasn't the scenery. It was a girl. Her age. Sitting alone near the garden bench, shoulders slumped, sniffling quietly over a math worksheet. Lena stepped closer. Slowly. Need help? She asked. The girl jumped a little. Looked at Lena's face, then her ragged coat. She didn't say anything, but she didn't run. So Lena sat down beside her. Picked up the crumpled paper. You're adding too fast, she said gently. Try counting with your fingers. The girl hesitated. Then did it. 4 plus 3. 7, they said together. And giggled. It was the first time Lena had laughed in weeks. They worked through the next problem. Then another. And another. Neither of them heard the footsteps. Not until they were right behind them. A sharp voice. Excuse me. Who is this child? Lena froze. Panic surged through her chest. She stood up, ready to bolt. But another voice, calmer, deeper, interrupted. Wait. It belonged to a tall man in a tailored overcoat, carrying a pink lunchbox and a phone that hadn't stopped buzzing since he arrived. His name? Oliver Lane. Wealthy investor. Widower. Father of Maya, the girl Lena had just helped. He walked over. Knelt beside Lena. Looked at her, not with suspicion, but with curiosity. Did you help her with this? Lena nodded. She's amazing, Maya said, beaming. Can we take her for a snack? The teacher tried to speak again, but Oliver raised a quiet hand. Then, he smiled. Just barely. Yeah. I think we can do that. And just like that, Lena found herself in a world she had only watched from the other side of a fence. They drove to a diner. Ordered cheeseburgers. Fries. A chocolate milkshake taller than her arm. She didn't touch the food at first. Just stared. Then Oliver said softly, "It's okay. It's for you." She took one bite and her eyes filled with tears. Not from the taste. From kindness. From being seen. He asked questions, but not too many. She answered, but never begged. No family. No bed. Just nights on cardboard and mornings beneath benches. "I read," she said quietly. "I like numbers. I like books too." Maya watched her like she was magic. On the drive back, Maya whispered, "Can she stay with us?" Oliver didn't answer right away. But that night, after Maya went to bed, he couldn't stop thinking. Not about work. Not about markets. About the girl with no shoes and eyes that knew too much for her age. He'd spent the last 3 years frozen after his wife passed. Smiling for Maya, but not living. Now this stranger had stepped through a fence and stirred something in him that hadn't moved in years. Hope. The next morning, while Maya got ready for school, Oliver asked his driver to head downtown. He searched the places no one wanted to see. Near shelters. Under stairwells. Beside dumpsters. And finally, he found her. Curled into her backpack like it was armor. He knelt again. "Lena," he said softly, "would you like to come home with me? Just for a while. Somewhere safe. Somewhere warm. You don't have to say yes. But I hope you do." She didn't answer. But she didn't run either. And then, she nodded. A long time ago, before cardboard shelters and alleyways, Lena once had a bedtime. A real one. Back when her mother would whisper stories while brushing the tangles from her hair. Before the coughing got worse. Before the hospital visits that ended with silence. Before strangers took Lena's hand and said things like, "You're so brave," while walking away. She remembered the sound of her mother's voice more than the words. It made her feel safe. Like the world had room for her. That feeling had vanished long ago. Until now. Lena sat in the back seat of a black SUV, Maya beside her, swinging her legs, excited like she was bringing home a lost puppy. But Oliver? He stayed quiet. Watching Lena through the rearview mirror, studying her small hands pressed against the glass. His home stood on a hill behind tall gates and trees that hummed when the wind passed through. Lena stepped in and paused, shoes still muddy, jacket soaked. The floor was white. Shiny. It looked like a place you weren't supposed to be unless someone important invited you. Maya ran ahead. "Come see my room." Lena didn't move. Oliver knelt beside her. "It's okay," he said, his voice softer than she expected. "You can stay, for as long as you want." He led her upstairs to a small guest room. The walls were pale yellow. The bed was made. Folded clothes lay neatly on the edge. "None of this is mine," she whispered. Oliver paused at the door. "Now it is." He didn't stay. Just gave her space. Let her breathe. That night, Lena stood in the middle of the room. Shoes off. Hands shaking. She looked at the books on the shelf, then sat on the bed slowly, as if it might vanish. And for the first time in months, she slept without fear. Down the hall, Oliver sat in his office, papers untouched. His late wife's picture rested beside the lamp, her smile captured in summer light. She used to say their daughter needed more than money. She needed someone to model kindness. To show her how to love a world that isn't always fair. He had tried. But after losing her, Oliver had retreated into numbers, meetings, silence. Maya never said it, but he could feel the distance. Hear it in the way she laughed more with nannies than with him. But now, Lena. She wasn't just helping Maya with math. She was changing something in the air. The next morning, Lena came down wearing the sweater Maya picked for her. It still had the tag. "Is this okay?" she asked. Oliver nodded, pouring her orange juice without a word. Maya sat beside her. "Can you help me again later?" Lena smiled. "Okay." That afternoon, Oliver stood in the hallway, listening. Maya was reading aloud. Slowly. Lena helped her sound out the big words. They laughed every time Maya got one wrong and tried again. It wasn't loud joy. It was soft, contagious. And Oliver felt it. The warmth seeping into corners of the house that had gone cold. Still, not everything was easy. Lena never asked for anything. She never touched toys unless Maya insisted. She folded her clothes perfectly. Ate only half her plate unless someone told her to finish. At night, Oliver noticed her checking the door lock 3 times before getting into bed. The fear didn't vanish. It just wore a different coat. And Oliver knew trust takes time. One night, as he walked her to her room, Lena looked up at him and asked, "Do you help lots of kids?" He paused. "No," he said, "just one." "Just you." She looked away. But he saw the corners of her mouth twitch, almost a smile. Later that week, Maya's teacher called unexpectedly. "Something amazing," she said. "Maya's test scores jumped. Her confidence is up." I asked her how. She said, "My new sister is teaching me." Sister. That word echoed in Oliver's chest like a bell. That night, Lena and Maya drew pictures at the kitchen counter. One was of their family: Oliver, Maya, and Lena. Smiling. Holding hands. Oliver walked past them, pretending not to look. But his eyes misted. It had only been days, but the house was different. Less echo. More footsteps. Less silence. More laughter. Still, Oliver knew this couldn't go on without questions. Without complications. The world doesn't ignore a child without papers. Without a guardian. And so, quietly, he began the process. Phone calls. Legal help. Social workers. He didn't tell Lena. Not yet. She had just started to relax. To breathe. And the truth was, he didn't want to lose her either. The letter came in a plain envelope. No name on the front. Just the school's return address. Oliver opened it on a Thursday afternoon. The paper inside was stamped and official. A school administrator had reported an unauthorized minor seen frequently on campus grounds. There was a note clipped to the bottom. Child Services has been notified. He set the letter down slowly. The house felt quiet. Too quiet. Upstairs, Lena and Maya were laughing over a puzzle. A soft thud followed by a burst of giggles. He sat down, hands folded. Breath caught between thoughts. This wasn't a surprise. He knew it couldn't stay simple forever. But knowing and feeling are different things. He stared at the staircase, then picked up his phone. The first call was to his attorney. The second, to his private investigator. Find everything, he said, anything about her past, who she is, where she came from, any living relatives. I want facts. All of them. The voice on the other end hesitated. Oliver, do you want that? Or do you want a reason to stop this? Oliver didn't answer. Because he didn't know yet. That night, as Lena slept, he stood in her doorway. She was curled around a stuffed bear Maya had given her. Breathing softly, face peaceful in a way it never was when she was awake. He saw the faint bruises near her elbows. The way she still kept her backpack zipped and resting beside her bed. Just in case. He had everything: wealth, power, status. But he didn't know how to protect this one small, fragile girl from a world that never gave her a chance. The next week, the social worker arrived. Her name was Miss Danner. Mid-40s. Polite, but practiced. She asked Lena questions with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Do you know this man? Lena nodded. He's Maya's dad. Has he ever hurt you? No. Why did you come here? I didn't mean to stay. Do you want to stay? Lena hesitated. Then looked at Maya. Yes. Oliver watched from across the room, hands clenched behind his back. Miss Danner closed her file. We'll be in touch. That night, Lena didn't sleep. Neither did Oliver. The next day, the investigator called back. She has a grandmother, he said, Joan Rivers. Lives in a nursing facility just outside the city. Sick. Can't walk. But alive. Oliver's stomach dropped. Does she know Lena's alive? No. She thought the state took her. Lost track after the mother died. Oliver drove out the next morning. Joan Rivers was smaller than he expected. Fragile, folded into her chair like a wilted flower. But her eyes sharp still. He showed her a photo. She gasped. My baby's baby, she whispered, hands trembling. She's alive? She's safe, Oliver said softly. I need to know, can you care for her? Joan wept. I can barely care for myself. But I'd like to see her. I want her to know I didn't abandon her. Oliver nodded. You will. But as he walked out into the cool air, his heart weighed heavier. This wasn't his decision anymore. Not fully. Back at home, Maya sensed something. Lena was quieter. She didn't draw anymore. She folded her new clothes back into neat piles. Are you leaving? Maya asked one night. I don't know. Don't go. Lena looked down. People don't keep me. Oliver overheard. And something broke inside him. That weekend, Miss Danner returned with court papers. A temporary custody hearing would be scheduled. This is unusual, she said. And difficult. You're not a relative. I'm not backing out, Oliver replied. You might lose. Even with the best lawyers. Are you ready for that? He didn't flinch. She's already mine. Even if the law hasn't caught up yet. Miss Danner closed her file. Then I hope you're prepared for a fight. Oliver was. But Lena wasn't. When she heard the words court and hearing, she disappeared. They found her hours later, back at the fence. Sitting in her old spot. Just watching. Oliver sat beside her. You ran. She didn't look at him. I didn't want you to see me when they take me away. He was quiet for a long time. Then said, they don't get to decide that. She finally looked at him. Tears ready. They always decide. Not this time. He reached into his coat. Pulled out a paper. It was the drawing she and Maya had made, the one with stick figures holding hands. Family. I believe in this, he said, voice trembling slightly. You? Maya. Me. She wiped her nose with her sleeve. Even if I mess up? Especially then. Oliver stood at the doorway of Lena's room, holding a decision heavier than any business deal he'd ever closed. He could lie. Say nothing. Keep her safe in comfort, at the risk of truth. Or, he could tell her that someone, her grandmother, was still alive. Still asking about her. But would that change things? Would it undo the fragile trust they'd built? He walked in quietly. Lena sat on the floor, sorting a deck of flashcards Maya had given her. She didn't look up. There's someone I want you to meet, he said gently. Who? She asked, her voice cautious. Your grandmother. Lena froze. For a moment, it was like all sound drained from the room. She's alive? Oliver nodded. She didn't know you were. Lena looked down, fidgeting with a card's torn corner. Is she gonna take me away? No, he said firmly. She's sick. She's in a wheelchair. But she wants to see you. If you're ready. Lena didn't answer. But the next day, she put on her warmest sweater and quietly got into the car. The nursing home was quiet. Sterile. Smelled like soup and antiseptic. Joan Rivers sat in a sunlit corner of the rec room. Her hands, though frail, shook with anticipation. Her eyes searched the hallway like she was afraid the girl might vanish before she saw her. Then Lena stepped in. Joan gasped. My baby's eyes, she whispered, covering her mouth. You've got her eyes. Lena stood frozen. Joan opened her arms slowly, carefully, not expecting. Just hoping. And Lena walked into them. It wasn't loud. No sobbing. No movie scene tears. Just two people, clinging to the first piece of family either had left. Oliver waited outside, staring out the window, unsure if he'd done the right thing. But when Lena walked out of the room, something was different. Not broken. Just softened. She remembers my mom, she said. She told me I used to dance before I could walk. Oliver smiled. That sounds about right. She can't take care of me, Lena added. But she said I can visit. He crouched down to meet her eyes. You can visit any time you want. Later that night, Lena sat in her bed, holding a small music box Joan had given her. It didn't work perfectly, but the tune was just enough. It played faintly while she traced the edges of the box with her fingers. Oliver passed by her doorway, watching. And quietly, without fanfare, she looked up and whispered, "Good night, Dad." He froze. Not in shock, but in gratitude. It was the first time she had called him that. And she hadn't even meant to. Downstairs, Maya was coloring on the kitchen floor. Will Lena stay forever now? She asked. I hope so, Oliver replied. But what if the court says no? He sat beside her. then we fight harder. The next morning, Lena packed her backpack for school. Not with fear this time, but excitement. A real notebook. Fresh pencils. Her name written on the front in neat black ink. Not just Lena Rivers, but Lena Lane. She showed it to Oliver shyly. He blinked, then smiled. "It looks good on you." As they walked into school, some parents stared. Whispers. Raised eyebrows. "She's not his." "Isn't that the girl from?" Oliver ignored them. But Lena didn't. She looked up at him and asked, "Do they think I don't belong?" He squeezed her hand. "They just don't know you yet." She held tighter. In class, Maya introduced her proudly. "This is my sister. She's smarter than all of us." Lena blushed. But she stayed. Saturday. Learned. Answered a question out loud for the first time. The teacher raised her eyebrows. "Very good, Lena." After school, they stopped by the nursing home. Joan had a photo album. Old pictures. Baby footprints. Scribbled notes in her daughter's handwriting. "Your mom wrote poems," Joan said. "Silly ones. Want to read one?" Lena nodded. And slowly, word by word, she read aloud. Back at home, that night, Oliver sat at the kitchen table surrounded by paperwork. Court filings. Guardianship forms. Background checks. It was overwhelming. But he kept going. He had faced boardrooms full of doubters, markets crashing, companies falling apart. But nothing had ever mattered like this. Fighting for a little girl who'd once believed no one would ever keep her. It started with a scream. Not loud, but sharp, piercing the stillness of the early morning. Oliver dropped his coffee. By the time he reached Lena's room, she was sitting upright in bed, eyes wide, chest rising and falling in rapid breaths. He knelt by her side. "Lena, what happened?" She couldn't speak. Just pointed to the corner of the room, then wrapped her arms around her knees. "It was a dream," she whispered. "They came to take me back." Oliver sat on the edge of the bed. "No one's taking you." "They always do," she said. "Not this time." Silence. Then, almost too soft to hear, "Promise?" He nodded. "Yes. I promise." That morning, she went to school anyway. Because that's who she was, quietly brave, always showing up. And the teachers noticed. In just a few weeks, Lena went from a ghost outside the fence to the heart of the classroom. Her handwriting improved. She started answering questions without whispering. She joined the reading circle. And when it was show and tell day, she stood in front of the class with a wobbly smile. "This is a music box," she said, holding up Joan's gift. "It doesn't play perfect, but it used to be my mom's. And now it's mine. So, it still sings." The teacher wiped her eyes. The other kids clapped. Maya hugged her so hard she nearly knocked her over. At home, things were changing too. Oliver started coming home earlier. Sometimes he helped with homework. Other times he just sat nearby, quietly sipping tea while the girls read. He learned to braid hair badly at first. Burned pancakes twice. Got flour on his suit trying to bake cookies. But Lena's laughter echoed off the walls that used to feel hollow. She smiled more. Slept better. started drawing little hearts next to her name when she wrote it. Lena Lane. As if claiming it one letter at a time. And Maya? She glowed. No more sulking at dinner. No more one-word answers. She danced again. Sang to herself in the hall. Told her teacher that her sister helped her dream bigger. Even the dog, who had once barely wagged, now followed Lena everywhere. Still, Oliver knew peace was a fragile thing. One letter could break it. One court date could end it. Then came the envelope. Stamped Child Welfare Services. Final review hearing, custody consideration. He opened it slowly. The date was set. 1 week. The same night, Lena asked a question. Do you think I'm hard to love? He turned to her. No. But I think you were told that. Maybe not with words, but with how people acted. She nodded slowly. Sometimes I feel like I'm just extra. Like something no one asked for. He reached out, held her hand. I didn't ask for you, Lena. But I needed you. And I didn't even know it until you showed up. Her voice cracked. You're not gonna let them take me, are you? I won't stop fighting. But if I have to go, she hesitated, then whispered, will you remember me? He didn't speak. Instead, he stood. Walked to his desk. And handed her a folder. Inside, copies of drawings she made. The first math quiz she aced. A photo of her and Maya holding hands in the garden. A note she once left by his coffee mug that said, you look tired. Take a nap. I don't need a memory, he said softly. I've already built a life with you in it. That weekend, Joan came over for dinner. Oliver wheeled her in personally. Maya set the table. Lena made lemonade from scratch. They played board games. Laughed over burnt garlic bread. Joan gave Oliver a quiet look of approval that needed no words. You made her believe in home again, she said as he walked her to the car. Not just the girl. Me too. The next morning, Lena found a folded note tucked inside her backpack. It was from Maya. If they try to take you, I'll hide you in the closet. I swear. Lena giggled, then cried. Because it wasn't the note that made her emotional. It was the fact that, for once, someone wanted her badly enough to hide her. The courtroom was full, but Lena only saw 3 faces. Oliver's, calm but tight around the eyes. Maya's, smiling from the front row, backpack still on. And Joan's, tissue clenched in her hand, trembling in her lap. Lena sat beside Oliver at the long wooden table. The judge had a soft voice but sharp eyes. A woman from Child Services presented her notes first. Formal, detailed, clinical. She was found without adult supervision. No prior legal guardian. Living conditions unknown. Mr. Lane is not related by blood. Lena didn't flinch. She was used to hearing her life described like a problem someone forgot to solve. Then Oliver stood. He didn't speak right away. He looked at Lena. Not as a defendant. Not as a savior. Just as a father. Your Honor, he began, I was not looking for a child. I didn't wake up wanting to adopt. I didn't plan any of this. He paused. But neither did she. A quiet ripple moved through the room. She didn't choose to lose her parents. She didn't ask to sleep on sidewalks. She didn't knock on my door asking for help. She just sat down and taught my daughter math. He smiled at Lena, then looked back at the judge. She gave my little girl her laughter back. She reminded me that love doesn't follow bloodlines, it follows courage. He stepped back, voice clear. I didn't rescue her. I became who I was meant to be because of her. The judge nodded slowly, then turned to Lena. Would you like to speak? Oliver touched her shoulder gently. Only if you want to. Lena stood. She was small. The microphone was too tall. A court officer adjusted it quietly. She held the music box in her hand, the one from her mom. She pressed the tiny key. A faint lullaby played. I don't remember a lot about my mom, she said, her voice soft. But I remember how she used to hum this song. When I was scared. Or cold. She looked up. I haven't heard it in a long time. Not until I stayed at Mr. Lane's house. Where the blankets are warm. And people don't leave. A pause. Maya said I'm her sister. I never had one. But now I do. And I have a grandma. And a dad. The courtroom fell silent. The judge cleared his throat. Looked over his glasses. In the matter of Lena Rivers, the court hereby grants permanent guardianship and adoption to Mr. Oliver Lane. The gavel struck once. And that was it. Lena blinked. Not because she didn't understand. But because she did. It was over. She wasn't a case file anymore. Or a stray child people pitied. She had a name that meant something now. Lena Lane. Maya squealed. Joan wiped her cheeks. The courtroom clerk smiled behind watery eyes. Oliver knelt in front of Lena. She threw her arms around his neck before he could even say a word. That evening, the house was filled with music. Not from the box, but from joy. Maya made a welcome banner with glitter that stuck to everything. Joan came over and told stories about Lena's mother. Oliver tried to cook, burned the rice, and they ended up ordering pizza. It was perfect. After dinner, Maya asked to sleep in Lena's room. Just tonight, she pleaded. They built a pillow fort. Read books by flashlight. Whispered secrets only sisters tell. And when the light was finally turned off, Lena whispered, "Do you think she'd be proud of me?" My mom? Maya answered without hesitation. She'd be proud you found your way back. Later, Oliver stood at the doorway, watching them sleep. Two small forms under one blanket. Soft breathing. Quiet peace. He walked downstairs, sat at the kitchen table, and pulled out a piece of paper. A drawing. Stick figures. 3 of them. Lena. Maya. Him. All holding hands under a crooked sun. At the bottom, in careful handwriting. Family, the people who stay. He placed the drawing under a magnet on the fridge. Not because he needed a reminder. But because he'd never forget. Somewhere tonight, a child is still watching from behind a fence. Hungry. Forgotten. Waiting for someone to notice. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that love isn't earned, it's chosen, then let's choose more love. More listening. More staying. Subscribe if you believe in second chances, and in the power of choosing family.